Hello, everybody. Well, that was a little lower than I expected in the register this morning. Hello, I haven't used my voice much. I suppose hot chocolate might help. I don't know. Couldn't hurt, right? Welcome, everybody. And happy Food Coma Day if you celebrate. If you don't know what that is, it means we all ate a lot yesterday, more than we probably should. But it's a time to come together and feast and give thanks and be with family, hopefully. So, welcome to my channel. My name is Margaret Pennard. I'm a historical fiction author and an eclectic reader. And if we do get into the 5-star reads of this year during this broadcast, which I sort of prepared for, but we don't need to go there, you will see how eclectic it is. So if you're new here, please subscribe, say hello, introduce yourself. We're all a big, happy, friendly family here. And I appreciate new faces as well as seasoned faces and inside jokes, which you'll probably catch on to in no time. So welcome, everybody. How are you doing? Gareth was here early to say he's got a gig tonight, which is exciting, but I'll watch it when I come back. I love it. Jenny is here. We haven't seen Jenny on the channel in a while, so lovely to see you. I am just over the food coma and feeling pretty good. How is everyone else? Ven is here, waving and saying hello. Mad World, that's Lynn. Greetings. I just learned from a current read that hummingbirds are very territorial. I did not know that. So your profile pic just reminded me. I thought I'd share that fact. I live on a cliff, and often in certain seasons I will see hummingbird epic battles. I thought that was always mating season when they go two up and like dive bomb, but could be a dispute over territorial rights, and I've gotten it wrong all along. Who knows? Greg is here, Ghost Readers in the Sky. Ben says, yes, it is a happy Friday because he's still not at work. You say in work and we say at work. So I was just translating for my audience there on the fly because I'm good like that. Greg has a good question here, which is fun. How important is St. Andrew's Day in Scotland? St. Andrew's Day is a feast day for the saint, patron saint of Scotland, and it's on November 30th. So how important or notable is that as it passes? I'm curious. Julie is here, back again to spend time with friends, and also not shopping today. Yay! Another friend from Booktube, who I will be doing a buddy read discussion with in a couple weeks on Monday, December 8th, Tiffany, TL Russ. She was saying it might be crazy today, and I said, no crazy. No shopping to be done here. So I applaud that sentiment. Very, very good in solidarity. Anita is here. AF Stewart, hello. Anita may come up if I do the tags that I prepared for, because Anita just had a launch of Tales of the Norse Gods, if anyone else is a big Loki fan. So check out her channel for comedic, cozy fantasy, I would say. Jenny says, family, complete with playful banter and roasting. And Scots will celebrate anything if it means getting to drink at the pub. Yeah. Maybe it doesn't come up as much because it's not a bank holiday. If it's just a Scottish national holiday and you don't get off work, maybe it doesn't have like the true firmament standing of the other holidays. Greg says, I have a post going up on St. Andrew's Day with a poem by a Canadian writer and some thoughts on the Scottish diaspora. Oh, Jenny, especially, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Excellent. So we're making Scottish connections on my channel. That warms the cockles of my heart. Oh, okay. Tales of the Nordic Gods is more tragic than cozy, but it is comedic. Okay. Comedy, tragedy. Excellent. Oh, yeah, Lynn says, we Canucks had our food coma last month, and that just came up on Dee Dee's stream. So Brown Girl Reading, who I usually am on in the chat the hour before this stream, she was just talking about, oh no, it was Leslie. So today, and I don't usually catch Leslie. Leslie Penelope is a fellow author here on AuthorTube, and she was talking about Canadian Thanksgiving and wondering what it was. And I was like, is it November 1st? No, it's October. So I had to look it up. And Jenny said, I shall keep my eye on it, out for it. Yes, that's just me misreading. That's not translating. Excellent. Well, welcome to the chat, everybody. Nice to see you here. Basically, this is just a chatty live stream. Like, I've got tags loaded, I've got topics prepared, but like we're on Black Friday time, which to me means leaving space, holding space for people to just talk about their day and their plans and what they're excited about. So if you have an emoji for your mood, drop it in the comments. I think that'd be fun. And if you're watching this on the replay, obviously drop it in the comment section since you can't access the live chat. In case you don't know, when you do live stream, for people who are still doing recordings and wondering about live streams, you do get to see the chat on replay, but it does take about 24 hours to process. So if you watch this in the first 24 hours after we live stream together, you may not be able to access it, but you can always go in after that 24-hour periods and watch it, and then you will get to see the live chat. And I think they do that so they can filter out stuff and not sponsor any, YouTube flaggable comments. So in case you didn't know that little detail of YouTube life, that's one of the things I've learned after my many years on here. Oh, we've got a JD. Hello, hello on this Black Friday. Hugs, thankfulness, and all that jazz. Greg, Greg says, I only came to talk to Jenny. Oh, okay. Stealing your peeps. Sorry, not sorry. Totally cool. And Emma is here. So we have two from a former stream. So if I remember, I'll put the card up here. We had a geriatric millennial, I don't know what you'd call it, throwdown, walk down memory lane a couple years ago now with Emma and JD, and it was so much fun. We should do a reprise. That was a fun one. And Catpot is here. Hello. We're just doing like a chatted catch up for the moment. So we can vote on this, actually. I've got 3 things prepared. We can do them all, or we can do some of them. I've got the coffee book tag. I've got the hurricanes, tornadoes, and blizzards. I can't remember what the weather events are, but it's an original tag about the weather that someone did and tagged me in, which sounded really fun. So I've got that. And the last one was just like holiday highlights and best of the year. So put what you want to talk about in the chat. I'm just here to like have some fun, take it easy, and relax. Yes, it was lots of fun, and we all came with cake. So it really is a Gareth coded live stream. I think Gareth is aged out of the elder millennial bracket, though. He seems to me more of a Gen Xer, but I'll have to ask him where he puts himself, because a lot of people on the edges really need to self-select as to where they feel they belong. Weather tag sounds good. All right. Interesting about the delay for chat replay. Yeah, so you're not excluded. They do this processing thing. All right, well, we'll start with the weather tag. So I'll put this in the chat, this tag here. I was tagged by Book Chat with Pat, who loves to do a good community tag. And it was created by Literary Michelle, who's a newish booktuber to me. So I've been following them this year, I think. And yeah. So I'll put the things up on the screen so we can all chat about them. It'll be like a interactive tag. Why not? All right, so the first question is, how do you think an extreme weather event such as a hurricane, tornado, or blizzard impacts the plot of a book? I've read several books that have storms. One was a really long time ago, and it was written pretty soon after Hurricane Katrina by someone who grew up in that area, but who was a Portland author. And I didn't really connect with that book. But but I do have other books to recommend with storms. So I mainly answered this with timing. So if you have an extreme weather event, I feel like this deserves a lot of room in the story, right? It should be a big impact. It shouldn't be like a footnote. So either you have it at the beginning or in the pre-story, and you have to like resort to it in flashbacks, or you build up to it with like where everyone is T minus 2 days, T minus 1 day, all that kind of stuff, because it's going to be a big event. It'll affect the pacing. It doesn't really make sense to make it after the book. So yeah, I guess that's what I would say. It's a structure thing, it's a pacing thing. And so that would be the biggest concern for me. Kind of like if you have a big murder or, a Christmas Eve kiss, it's going to be a matter of like placing it in the right position and then laying clues or laying intimacy markers, like you have to plan to build up to it. So that's the first prompt. Jenny says, I may be older millennial, but I refuse to act it. Well, so what do you think you're acting? What do you think you're identifying with? I don't know. Greg says, I'm a geriatric Gen Xer, although I hadn't used that term until today. Yeah, I don't think that's one I've heard either. So new coined term. All right, our second prompt here is, oh, and I could take out my answer so that that's not on there. Name a book you've enjoyed where some type of natural disaster or storm played a role in the story. And so one that I don't think it was this year, I think it was last year, really enjoyed is All the Water in the World by Erin Kafal. And it's a dystopian book set in New York City where there's a kid narrator. And basically, we get a little bit of time in New York City on the top of the Museum of Natural History where they're hiding after a huge weather event. And then the one huge weather event they've been dreading that they know is coming, the superstorm that put them in this situation in the first place, comes around again. They know they need to leave town, right? And then we go on this journey, a sort of pilgrimage. So yeah, it's a megastorm in an already dystopic New York City, which forces a pilgrimage, and it's just really well told. It's one of those books like Dry by Neil. Why do I always do this? It's not Stevenson. Schusterman. They're so close. Neil Schusterman, his book Dry is like one of those ones where I was like this reading it and I would actually be shaking because it was so tense and so real. So All the Water in the World by Erin Kafal, it was a similar one where like the journey is so fraught and she does such a great job with the characters playing off each other and things being taken away from them and like new uncertainties being introduced that I really highly recommend. I think I gave it 5 stars. And the audiobook version that I listened to is also very good. I looked at their reviews when I did the tag and I saw someone didn't like the breathing of the narrator, but I thought she did a fantastic job with the young voice and contrasting that. The young, I would say, neurodivergent voice. I thought she was very carefully constructed as a character. Any lobbing in of books with good storms? Let's see. Anita says, I was just talking about storms with an author. We joked winter-based horror novels always have blizzards. Well, yeah. I remember actually, as an American Girl aficionado growing up, Kirsten was one of the American girls who lived in Minnesota, and she was Swedish from an immigrant family. And there, I think it was the Christmas one, is where she has like the candles for the holiday in early December. It's a Swedish holiday. There's a blizzard in that one, and it was very impressive and memorable. So that's another one. It's not a horror novel, though. It's a middle grade, historical fiction. It's my jam when I was, 10. Jenny says, I refuse to mature past puberty. I will be childish till the day I kick the bucket. Well, there you go. All right. Erin's here. Erin read a book. I'm bang in the middle of millennials, also a middle child, the worst of both worlds. I'm a middle child, but I think I have like older child tendencies because my two older sisters were so much older that they weren't in the home for most of my growing up. Yeah, it's an interesting sort of cross-hatching category. Cat Paw agrees. All the water in the world was good. Thank you. Thank you. And Libro is here. Hold on. Oh, we're getting a reference. On a bright cloud of music. Wait. Okay, that's the name, right? Shall we tag 1, 2, 3, and? Anybody get this musical reference? On a bright cloud of music. That's the next clue. And I am on the chapter The Cloud of Unknowing in Don DeLillo's Underworld. Ooh, okay, so we didn't get a musical reference, but we got like a tangential biblio-serendipity moment. I like it. I like it. Kappa agrees it was terrifyingly real. Totally. All the water. Erin, hello, hello. Geriatric millennial is one of those phrases that sounds like an insult when you first hear it. It does, but then you're like, geriatric just means older. So like within the generation, you're in the older cadre, if you will. Yeah. Prompt 2, Julie's answering, their eyes were watching God. Oh, yeah. Of course. Big Storm by Zora Neale Hurston is such an amazing book. There's a hurricane in that, which is, really memorable. You're right. Very weather catastrophic centric. Yeah. And actually, just for a little tidbit, just cat litter everywhere. I'll take these off now so you can see the cover better. The buddy read that I'll be doing with Tiffany is about the John Lewis book, Walking with the Wind, a memoir of the movement. And the title comes from, I was just telling my sister this, it's really visually impactful. When he was a kid, there was I think it's tornado. It's like northeastern Alabama. Is that in tornado country? I don't know. Anyway, there was a big storm coming through, and all the kids ran to the closest house where there was one adult to look after, like 8 little kids. And the house was not very well made, and it was lifting up, and they were feeling like it was going to be taken away in the tornado. So the adult was getting all of the kids to rush to the corner that was lifting up and then rush to the other corner when they felt that that was in danger. And so the title is The Walking with the Wind that they did to try to save their home in this terrible disaster. I was like, wow, that's a visual that I will not forget. And you could see I had lots of interesting moments that I connected with in this book. It is one of my 5 stars, and I will be talking more about it with Tiffany on Monday, December 8th. One of my reserved spots for discussions. But yeah, their eyes were watching God. The hurricane in Florida, big deal. Anita says The Perfect Storm, the nonfiction book, not the George Clooney movie, is one of my favorite books. I haven't read it. I imagine it was a strong plotted book if it got to be made into a movie that a lot of people loved. Libro says J.G. Ballard has also written novels about natural disasters like The Drowned World and Drought. I haven't read any of his. I think there was a readathon recently that encouraged people to read either because it was vintage sci-fi or another reason. But yeah, some of my subscribed to channels have been commenting on J.G. Ballard, so definitely on my radar. Jenny says to Anita, is that what the film is based on? I think so. Libro says millennials, interesting species. Eva is here. Glad I got here in time. Hello, Eva. Happy food coma day to you. Yes. We love to hear about the leftovers. What's your favorite leftover? Anita says, yes, The Perfect Storm movie is based on the book and is such a bad adaptation. Oh, okay. Wow. Interesting take. Okay. Jenny says, make it the book then. Actually quite like the film, so sounds like the book is better. The book is so much better, says Anita. And Eva says, yeah, that's a cool title origin. Really, really good. And he ends the book on the same note, which is really well done. So Michael Dorso, the co-writer, cheers to him. I should look up what other stuff he's written, because sounds like he did a good job co-writing. Cat Paw says, Natasha, can't remember her surname, but she was a guest on your show. Pulley did one with Good Storms. So I read the one that's based in South America, and the Mars House. Mars House did have storms. They were like science fiction storms, so I didn't know if that qualified for like the label for the prompt. But yeah, I did look at that and think about it. That was a really good one. Not Guys and Dolls this time. Pulley, yes, Natasha Pulley, great author. Really doing some good activism work on her Instagram channel about the AI stealing in the UK. They're actually taking action on it there, not here. Yes, The King and I, Shall We Dance? That's well done. Good musical reference, Greg. Aaron says, Drowned World is good. So is Greybeard by Brian Aldiss, where London has become a swamp. Oh, interesting. I've never heard of that title or author or premise. That sounds really interesting. Okay, I'm going to star that one to come back to later and look it up on Storygraph. Thank you. Eva says, just went shopping at some local shops. Yay! We have a winter storm coming. Oh, winter storm tomorrow. So in case it's too icky to get out. Yeah, good thinking. Good thinking. Do you have ice cream? That's like, that's my winter storm essential. Because then the power goes out and then you have to finish it before it melts, right? Yes, the Mars House and also the Kingdoms to some degree. Okay, so I have the Kingdoms, but I haven't read it yet. It's on my shelf. I've been looking at some of these, and you'll see I have a collection. There's 18 here that are possibilities for the end of 2025, since I'll be here in California for that. But I did not bring that one out with me. Eva says, eating more turkey right now. The leftovers, so good. And Julie says, chiming in late, but once again, I think I'm the oldest one in the room, baby boomer and loving life. Yay! I like the mix. The mix is good. Then we all get like different views on a subject. So that's helpful. Jenny says, random question about how do Americans cope at this time of year? You've just had all the pressure of Thanksgiving and have Christmas next month. Sounds horrifying. Yeah, I think people have commented on this one or two times, and that, like, why do we stuff all our holidays at the same 2-month period? Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, like, and then you're just flat out can't do anything for the last couple months of winter. Eva was just talking about this. I think it was on TikTok. It's going to be a hard phase. That's when we just like connect with people. I think we put some extra thought into, I think, reflecting, and for me it's journaling that helps, and like do some, there's actually even books that have talked about this and the concept of wintering, like doing some like a form of hibernating almost, if you want to use that as a metaphor, where you withdraw a little bit, you have more rest available, and you just sort of try to think deeply rather than running after buying the latest thing, for example, which sounds like it's what my niece and nephew are all about this season. Eva says, I'm Gen X. Xennial may be in more circles. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it depends on maybe the field, whether it's music or books or lifestyle, or there's lots of different things. Yes, we do have ice cream. Yeah, see, the important things. like that we're on the same train there. Eva says to Jenny, we don't live like marketing makes it seem. Good point. Yeah. Like the holidays are one thing, and then maybe Jenny was talking more about the pressure of holidays and the stress. Yeah, there's a range. There's a spectrum of how people do the holidays now. It's true. Libro says to Jenny, by frequenting local pharmacies, aka liquor stores. Oh, there's another answer for you. Greg says, the Wonderful Wizard of Oz needed the cyclone. Yeah, there's like the quintessential storm book, and it was right at the beginning of the book. Well, I think there was a little bit of pre-story, right? At least in the movie. I haven't read the book in a long time, but the movie had a little setting up of this is her normal life and her normal world antagonists, let's say, so that you understand a little bit more of Oz. Yeah. Jenny says to Libro, as a Scot, I approve of the self-medicating. There we go. Scots and Texans have much in common. Interesting. That sounds like a video topic. Isn't self-medicating mandatory for Scots, says Aaron. Possibly. It's part of the national character. Eva says, taking the season back is helping me. Oh, that's good. We don't travel on holidays anymore. That helps a ton. That is interesting. I do normally travel on holidays, but it's part of like a long stay. So it's not like the same as like travel, do all the things travel like most people have. So yeah, different effects. We don't call it self-medicating. It's just survival, says Jenny. Eva says, I'm in a THC-friendly area of the States, not a drinker so much as a stoner. Well, there you go. And there was a bagpiper at the Alamo. Yeah, see, there are connections here for sure. Quite a few Scottish immigrants fought with the Texans. At the Alamo. And you know what? There were Irish on the other side in the Mexican-American War. Wait, is the Alamo Mexican-American or Spanish-American? No, it's Mexican-American. It's the 40s, 1840s. You're getting me confused here. Libro says Franz and Ferdinand and Belle Sebastian, 2 favorite Scottish rock bands. Ooh. Do we like? People with more music knowledge than I have to weigh in. Texans have a higher tolerance to sunlight than Scots do. Okay. Eva says Texans are a myth. Oh, I'm intrigued. I wonder what Brian would say to that bookish Texan over here if he ever drops in today. Franz Ferdinand. Gotcha. Yeah. The Scots piped while Davy Crockett played fiddle. All right. The Alamo was in Texas's War of Independence. Well, Texas didn't. I don't know. I don't know much about Texas, but I thought it was getting independence from Mexico. So maybe it's not the Mexican-American War. It's the Texas War of Independence is what they want to call it. Okay. Getting sidetracked. Jenny says, sounds like quite a party, but then Scots do love a fight. Aaron loves Belle and Sebastian. Excellent. Eva saw the Alamo. I have seen the Alamo as well. I was like about 11, I think. Didn't really get the historical context at the time. That's why it's like leaving me right now. All right, so that's the second one. Let's move on to the third prompt. This is fruitful. I like it. Third prompt. Oh, I made this a comment instead of a banner. Oops. Have you ever experienced a weather event that had a lasting impact on you or was a memorable time in your life? Okay. So for this one, I thought, and the only one that stands out against the whole landscape of my life is when I was 13 and I could walk to the end of my block and I could look up to Cuesta Pass and I could see at nighttime the wildfires outlining the pass. So normally you just see the hills in the daytime. Because the wildfires were so close to the city, you could see them up on the hills at night. And that was pretty scary. Like there was a lot going on for the firefighters and the, efforts to stop it and everything. And yeah, so the wildfires is quite a memorable event. And then also just growing up in a drought place. So I would say that's a weather event because it restricts your activities and it's the natural world's sort of landscape. So growing up in California, you have water efficient appliances, you have periodic restrictions on flushing your toilet or watering your lawn, and just like everything you do water wise can be affected. Not natural related, not a weather event, but part of my current reality is that because the infrastructure is all collapsing at the place where I live now in Portland, there's like a really easy to swap out valve in the water pipes, but you have to get down to it, and that's more complicated and expensive. So they've all been failing in the past few years, and every time that the plumbers come and have to fix this valve, they have to shut off the whole system, so like all 100+ units rather than just the building that it's in, because reasons. And so I have often woken up to having no water, or come home during the day to having no water. And you can't really do much. Can't make a cup of tea. I mean, I don't know if you can go to the bathroom, like, and flush the toilet. Like, they're different systems, but like, I don't know. So I don't want to chance it. Um, so yeah, so I always have like jugs of water and water in the kettle and water in the cat dish, and I try to take precautions for that because I hate being without water at home. It means you have to go out and you have to like pay someone to be in a place, which is American. Okay, so with not this question, but before we get into it, Greg had a question. Have you been in the basement of the Alamo? I don't remember being in the basement. Might be a Gen X reference. Is it in a song? We'll see. We'll see if anyone answers that. Eva says, I attended elementary schools in Texas too. Oh, then the fam moved back north. Oh, wow. I don't think I knew that about you. That's fun. New Eva fact. Libro says, Texas was a republic, then joined the United States, then seceded, then joined the Union again. And whenever a Democrat is president, secede bumper stickers reappear. Fair. That tracks. That definitely tracks. Okay, back on the prompt. Eva says fires are scary. Yep. Catpaw says yes. Their answer is 3 snowstorms and several hurricanes. So yeah, okay, down in Mexico, depending on which side you're on, you get different types of weather events. And then snowstorm, I assume, is when you were not living in Mexico. Yeah. Whoo, that's scary. Hurricanes, tornadoes. It's scary, yeah. Eva says, I remember seeing a tornado fly over my aunt's house when I was very young. Didn't get low, though. Wow. So you can see a funnel, but the funnel isn't touching the ground. That's got to be pretty awesome when you're looking at like a vortex in the sky. It must feel like you're in a science fiction book. Eva says, ones with the water that's already in the toilet. Oh, right. Okay. Since the water will load back into the tank, that makes sense. It will flush it away because that's a different system. Thank you. Science, engineering. Greg says, I was born in Texas. That is not part of the natural disaster conversation. You're not including yourself in the category of natural disaster. No, very modest. Eva says, I wasn't born there, but lived there during my first birthday until my 11th. Oh, that's a long time. That's a long time. JK is here. Hello, hello. Lero says, founding father James Wilson. I'm trying to place James Wilson from 1776 because I know all the names of the people who signed the Declaration because that's in the musical, and which state they're from. I don't remember James Wilson. Maybe he was the one. No, he's not the one from Rhode Island. That's Stephen somebody. Do you know what state he was from as a founding father? I'm curious. Julie says that her answer is tornado watches until 1980. Then all of the earthquakes between 1980 until now. Oh, see, I've been in an earthquake, but it was like a tiny one. I've been through other earthquakes, but I don't remember. The only one I remember is like tiny. And you're like, wait, is this? Is it? Is it? And then, yeah, it became obvious, but it wasn't very damaging at all. Tornadoes and then earthquakes. Oof. Greg says the reference to the basement of the Alamo is from 1985 film. Okay. No one else responded, so I think you may be the only one with that secret knowledge today. That's wild. About 10 years in Texas or something else? Jenny says, even the really bad weather here seems normal. I have got a whole book about different types of Scottish rain. So, you know, I did try to think about that. I've been in like downpours, but they haven't been like natural disaster level. So, except the heat waves during summer because you're not equipped for it. Yeah, totally. Same thing in the Pacific Northwest. I chose to live in the Pacific Northwest because it's foggy and there's mountains and it's like Scotland, the closest I could get being in the US. So yeah, we're not built for the heat either. Eva says, I don't remember tornadoes in Texas. I was north of Dallas, close to Oklahoma, or snow. Yeah, well, the weather patterns have changed now. So they get the ice storms is actually in that area north of Dallas. I think it's ice storms that are the most dangerous and like the most the culprits of the power outages and stuff. That's what I've heard. Julie says, born in Minnesota, moved to California. Okay. Yeah. Snow, fire. Ice and fire, wind, earth, wind, and fire. I don't know. When I was thinking about some of the natural disasters, I was going through the Captain Planet list, like earth, wind, fire, water. It's like I haven't been through any of these, but it was a helpful audio reminder. Aaron says, I missed the Christchurch earthquake because I was on a plane back to England. Oh, wow. So the New Zealand earthquake, that was pretty recent. My house and my workplace were both written off. Wow. So lucky time to leave. By written off, I think you mean like they were totaled and rebuilt or, razed to the ground. Wow. That's a lot. Eva says, my 5th grade teacher told me I spoke incorrectly, so my accent went away. Because it was Texan. When I can turn it back on. I returned to Texas in 2002 for about a year. Oh, that's fun. Who was just talking about that? The accent coming on. It was someone on here. I can't remember who. Proud to be a Yankee, though. There we go. Solidarity. Jenny says, luckily I'm in Aberdeen, so we don't really flood too bad either, although the sea foam got really bad when you're sea foam. What can sea foam do to you? I mean, that's a candy confection on the Oregon coast. I don't know if you have that, but it's a thing here. Yeah, Eva says, wow, to the New Zealand earthquake. And Anita says, yeah, ice storms are nasty. The weight of the ice takes down power lines and tree limbs. Yeah. I had a power outage a month ago, and it was not even raining, but something took a tree down, and they took 18 hours to get it fixed, which seemed like a long time. And what was super annoying, I think I told you guys this when it was happening, is that the buildings 100 feet away from me, all fine. It was just us and everyone behind us. And it was 300 people. It's so annoying that we're so vulnerable. Eva says there was an ice storm in maybe 2008 or 2009. Do you mean in Texas? I think there was one more recent than that, 2015, because my sister lives there. So, Attack of the Killer Sea Foam, a good book idea. That is fun. I know, that is a fun one. I can see Gareth running with that. Eva says, we couldn't open car doors. My daughter and I walked a mile to Walgreens and she fell 3 times and I kept laughing. Car doors in the ice storm that you're talking about? Is this where you are now instead of Texas? Because it's with your daughter. Must be later. She was 12 or something. The city was so quiet. Everything was ice. Yeah, there's a pretty viral TikTok that I think is someone in Portland ice skating on the roads that iced over. So yeah, I mean, we've been through the snowpocalypse and the snowmageddon and all those fun names. I was in DC for one and I was in Portland for another, and they yield these fun kind of moments and stories. I don't think they were too dangerous in terms of damage, but it was highly inconvenient, which I wouldn't put in this category. So yeah. Okay, for the ice storm you were talking about, Central Illinois. Gotcha. Jenny says it got to around 5 feet high and about 3 streets inland. Not dangerous, but was fun to see everyone's stunned expressions. So when you say sea foam, do you mean a storm surge? Was it a big wave? But not obviously a tsunami wave. Sea foam. I'm unfamiliar with this phenomenon. I wonder if Literary Michelle knows about the dreaded sea foam and can include this in the next version of the tag. Libra says, Matthew McConaughey hams up his Texas accent on American TV and tones it down abroad, like when interviewed at Cannes. Interesting. That's funny, because often they can't be understood abroad. That makes sense. Eva says, I'm further south now. Yeah, no ice storm since being here. Nothing too serious, at least, but tomorrow's storm is going to be interesting. Lots of precipitation coming, temps on the line of freezing. Ugh, yeah, the worst in Portland is when it rains a ton and then it freezes, and then it, like, snows because the ice has the rain now, and yeah, it's just a big mess, and no one knows how to drive in it or walk in it. I get out my yak tracks and I'm okay, but any other type of shoe is not gonna work. I will fall. Ugh, I need assist. Oh yeah, ice coats cars too. Fun trying to chip it away. I did put my little ice chipper for the windshield, the windscreen, back in the car when I came down, just in case, just in case. Eva says, a maternal grandmother figure from my family lost her independence and home with Hurricane Ike. Yeah, that's rough. Yeah. We should have better mechanisms for compensation, for insurance, and all that stuff. Libro says the film Ice Storm is excellent. Not heard of that one. You always have the movie Rex that we haven't heard of, which is fantastic. Eva said Ike wasn't long after Katrina. Okay. I don't remember. The names sort of blur in my head. Jenny says, like literal foam formed by the sea. Strangest thing I'd ever seen. Did you get pictures? Did you get pictures? Oh no, the world spit up. Yeah, that's a good image. Yeah. Greg says, in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Pee-wee Herman was told his stolen bike is in the basement of the Alamo. Oh, Pee-wee Herman. He goes to San Antonio only to find out there's no basement at the Alamo. Oh my gosh. That's a reach. That's a deep cut for a 1985 movie. It was like a meme for us. Okay. All right. Well, you got it out there. So we do know Pee-wee Herman. Nicely done. Ice Storm the film isn't about natural disaster, but a family's disaster. Sigourney Weaver, Kevin Kline. Oh, okay. Nice title. I remember Pee-wee Herman's Big Adventure, and now I remember all of that. You've unlocked a memory for Eva. Sorry, I failed you. Here we go. Laura's here. Hello, Laura. I could only remember Tobey Maguire being in it. Ice Storm. Ice Storm or Pee-wee Herman? Aaron says, I know where I'm going has some good Hebrides storms in it. Is that a movie? I'm unfamiliar with that one, but I do like a Hebridean storm. Excuse me. Ice Storm, Tobey Maguire. Okay. And then Eva says the bar scene shoes for Pee-wee Herman. Yeah, everyone's reminiscing now. Excellent. All right, Eva says there's a huge blizzard in 78. Yeah, well, we can walk down memory lane. My dad will have a whole list. Let's do prompt number 4. Keep moving here. Nope, edit. And there we go. Save. What is your favorite type of book to curl up with while a storm is raging outside? Thriller, romance, memoir? And when I think about this, what I remember is mostly memoirs, actually. Because I picture sometimes what ends up happening is when there's a big rainstorm, which is mostly what we get in Portland. I can't hear it because I will close the windows to keep the heat in. And so I put on a rain soundtrack, which is probably really silly. Sounds really silly. But then I want something that's like someone talking to me, like in their own voice. So nonfiction, the memoirs are a pretty good fit. But also cozy classics like Barbara Pym or for Eva, it'll be Agatha Christie, which is not cozy to me, but I'm trying to think of other like classics. They're not as like gory or graphic or dramatic. They're just, kind of, oh, I know what I said. What's the vacation one? A Fortnight in September. That would be a perfect storm read, just kind of cozy. And I also said thoughtful mysteries. So like a Maisie Dobbs would be a good one for that. That would be good. All right. And then I'll switch over to the next one. Yeah, I know it's too long. Here we go. Prompt number 5. Name a book character you've enjoyed who had to overcome or endure a weather-related hardship. So besides the young narrator in All the Water in the World, which is Noni, I thought of another. Oh, I was going back in my read books on Storygraph, and I came across a backlist book that no one will be able to find called Polsinny Harbor. And it was the book that was set in Cornwall that made me go, oh, maybe I should go visit Cornwall. And I could hit Devon on the way. Jack always recommends like travel in Devon with her great vlogs. So Polsinny Harbor was about fisher folk. It's about this one young woman who leaves her own village because toxic and goes to another village, but everyone's wondering, why did you leave your own village? That's sus. And so she sort of has to work her way up into people respecting her. And one of the things in the book is that there's a fisher fleet that everyone is part of, and they get caught in a big fog storm thing, and the big boats, when there's a fog in like 1850 or whenever this took place, there's no way to warn them, and so they just get run over, and that's a big sort of plot point later in the novel. So yeah, that was another good storm book. How about everyone else? Let me catch up here. Okay, Aaron says it's a great movie by Powell and Pressburger. I know where I'm going. Okay. I don't know Powell and Pressburger. Are those actors or directors or producers? I don't know. I think earlier film is often separated or segregated by market, so haven't even heard of them. Greg says, isn't Annie Lennox from Aberdeen? Ooh, Jenny, you gonna claim Annie Lennox? That would be pretty cool. Eva says, my mother drove in it or just after it. In my fiction project inspired by her life, it has that scene in it. Oh, the blizzard in 78. Oh, that's exciting. Eva says, one by Margaret Pennard. Oh, a book to curl up with in a storm. How sweet. Thank you, Eva. Eva says, I'd probably pick something with an old-fashioned cover. Yeah, vintage is a cozy vibe. Craig saying my favorite Scottish rock band is Average White Band, which I've also never heard of. Jenny says, I love fantasy at all times. I think this is for reading during a storm, but especially when there's rain. I even open the window slightly to hear it better. Yeah, I will do that too, unless, I don't want to pay twice as much for my utility bill and I'm just feeling the crimp in the style, I guess. Libro says to Laura, it's a wonderfully grim film directed by Ang Lee, who I have heard of, who also made The Hulk and Brokeback Mountain. Okay, well, that's not where I was going to go. I think Ang Lee directed Sense and Sensibility, which is the direction I was going to go. Mary Higgins Clark for reading during a storm. That is the opposite. That is the thriller. That's for people who like to scare themselves. Nice. And Jenny says, I find storms rather soothing. Yeah, rainstorms, definitely. The howling wind and like every once in a blue moon we'll get like lightning. The last time we got lightning and thunder, it was one huge clap that was like really long and like one big lightning in the sky. And that was it. It was so weird. But I don't find that soothing. I just find it awe-inspiring, like really fascinating. Like I love being there for that. But yeah. Aaron says Neverending Story would be a good pick because in the film he reads it during a storm. Good point. So you're like doing the book within a book thing. I like that. Cat Paw would answer something cozy or something that holds my attention. I think that's where I connect with the memoir because it's like direct voice. Yeah. Good one, says Eva. Laura says, I remember I loved Ice Storm, but haven't watched it in so many years. There's a lot of movies in that category for me. Eva says, her answer, My Side of the Mountain, is what came to mind first. Required reading as a kid who had to overcome a weather-related hardship. I don't know that one. Okay, all right. Greg, rolling back to a previous live stream with Margaret, is all cozy fiction middlebrow. I think there's a case for this. You can debate this. There's some evidence to support this, but I think it's debatable. Ven says, I love Devon and Cornwall in the summer. Okay. What about late spring? What about like April or May? Um, define middle brow. Yeah, it's hard. It's like not low brow, not highbrow. It's one of those like you know it when you see it kind of things, but everyone has a different definition. For weather-related hardship, Greg says, I always think of To Build a Fire by Jack London. Jack London fan. Oh, look, Brian is here. We had a section earlier where we were talking about connections between Scots and Texans, and I said, I dropped your name, Brian. I said, I wonder what Brian would think of that. Libro, fellow Texan, says Eurythmics for, I'm not sure, a favorite Scottish band, maybe? Jenny says, Annie Lennox went to my high school and is apparently related to my aunt. What? That's incredible. I think Laura thinks so too. That's so cool. That's really cool. And then Libro says, Stalin's daughter delivered. Excellent. We got book mail. Love it. Eva says, now I feel like going to look through all the very old books I have. Do I declutter those or just keep them because they're grandfathered in? Why do you feel like going through the old books? Because of the storm comment? Oh, yeah, because you have a storm coming. I have a storm coming up to find a book for. Gotcha. Anita says, cozy mystery is great during storm. Yeah, that's a good vote. Lynn says, Daphne du Maurier, anytime it's stormy. I did look for winter books, and I think Daphne du Maurier was the only one I could see in the first page of results. So classic choice, classic. Libro says, Love is a Stranger is my favorite Eurythmics song, followed closely by Sweet Dreams. All right. Laura says, Distant Thunder is very soothing, but Nearby is scary. Right. Like, yeah, because then you know it could hit you, and it's a little scary. Erin agrees on Jamaica Inn. Opens on a stormy night, so that might be a good stormy book. Oh, consider it a wreck, Margaret, for I've lost the thread, so remind me what you're recommending. Eva says the MC lives in a tree to shelter from the storm. That's what I remember. Oh, My Side of the Mountain. Okay. Huh. Okay. Now I have to go back and find it and star it. There we go. Okay. I got it. Kappa says correct. Eva says My Side of the Mountains, a 1959 adventure novel. That seems like it's up Greg's alley. Written and illustrated by American writer Jean Craighead George. Sounds very plausible. I started, so I'll look it up. I also still have to look up the Thomas King thing from Wednesday. So thank you to those who alerted me. It's still on my list. Kappa loves a Daphne du Maurier. Yes. I don't know why we're talking about Scottish bands, but we have this tangent. The Proclaimers, love. Runrig, yes. And of course, Doteman. I don't know that one. The Scottish band that I love the most to listen to is the Corries, which you may have already known if you've been here a while. Fun name drop. Yeah, for Annie Lennox. Very cool. Yes, some more music quotes. My aunt married into the family, so I'm not related. Pity. I love her music. Yeah, there you go. Texans of Scots descent are the most irascible Texans. Oh, that's a good take. Oh, finger injury. That's true. You had a turkey Thanksgiving-related finger injury. I saw that. Aaron says, Left Hand of Darkness has wintry storms. The book I'm reading now does too, set in Iceland. Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. Oh, I've definitely heard of that one. I hope you're enjoying it. Excellent. Don't shelter in trees from storms, kids. Yeah. Eva says, no idea if I'd like that book today, but I remember reading it as a kid. You brought that memory back. Oh, good. Nice. Eva says, why wouldn't we talk of Scottish bands? Fair. There's some really great ones. Not up in its branches in the hollow trunk of a tree. Would that be a good place to be? I don't know. Oh, we have Mike here. Hi, Margaret and gang from South Africa. So many Scottish bands, and no one mentioned Jethro Tull, led by rock's greatest Scotsman, Ian Anderson. All right. Well, we've got to vote for a different genre. I like it. Ah. All right. Jenny says, Corey's some of the best comedy songs ever. Probably wouldn't get away with them now, though. You think? I mean, there's a couple that I skip over, the ones that are about like calling people hoes, but the Scottish Holiday is a favorite. It's epic. Yeah. Eva says, you'll have to read the book and tell me if it's a good place to be in a storm, y'all. Is the in the hollow trunk of a tree related to My Side of the Mountain? Or am I mixing it up there? I don't know. All right. So yeah, Pulsini Harbor, and then I think nope, we've got a few more. I've got 8 prompts here. So I'll make this a banner, edit, post. There we go. And share. Prompt number 6. If you were told to evacuate your home, which is a difficult, terrible situation to be in, which 3 books are in your go bag and why? Okay. So I have a cheat for this, and you might know what I'm gonna recommend here. It's a book purchase list on bookshop.org, which is a book shopping site that gives an affiliate income. So this is an affiliate link. But I did a video a while ago that were books I would bring into the apocalypse. And the theme is like things that would be a well you could come back to again and again to get something from, but also useful because they involve plants and community building and survival and nature and that sort of thing. So helpful. So I'm dropping that into the chat. I have the reading list of books on bookshop.org. The 3 that I would highlight, let's see. Share this tab instead. Let me share the screen for just a moment. Share the right screen. There we go. Let me move my face. There we go. Back to the tab. There we go. Okay, so this is my book Secure into the Apocalypse. There's my apocalypse picture. And I said Garza, just down at the bottom here. So Alicia Garza, The Purpose of Power, How We Come Together When We Fall Apart. I found to be a really powerful read like 4 years ago. It's a memoir of sorts. She's a young-ish. She's about my age. And she talks about how she came up to protests, organizing, community building, politicking, understanding power. And then she doesn't talk about, like politicians do, how like the levers were pulled, but she talks about how coalitions were built and how relationships were nurtured. And I thought that would be really useful in the apocalypse, or if you had to evacuate your home and you didn't know if you'd be able to go back. So Alicia Garza, 5-star read. I also mentioned Tamar Adler in my top 3. So the book is a little rambly. It's not really a cookbook. It's called An Everlasting Meal, and she is a cook. But this is her sort of rambly John. There's another famous Thune, New England writer who sort of writes cookbooks, but sort of writes like, these are adventures I've had, and these are the meals I made for them. It's subtitled Cooking with Economy and Grace, and it's like no waste philosophy, really about things that play well together or techniques for getting the most nutrition out of your food. So I thought that would be pretty useful, and she also has a nice, gentle way of talking. So I really liked that a long time ago. It's still on the list. And then Ortiz would be my 3rd pick, which is Sustaining Spirit by Naomi Ortiz, which I read earlier this year. Self-Care for Social Justice. So I'm trying to remember, because I read Rituals and Sustaining right next to each other here, pretty close together. And I think Rituals had more poetry and Sustaining had more memoir, so like prose, which she used to talk about disability and social justice communities and where she felt she had been failed and how she like worked on ways to be resilient, but also shared the vulnerable places where she's like, this is how I am resilient, but this is how I wish other people would be in resilient community with me. And I thought that was really powerful sharing. So Naomi Ortiz definitely on that apocalypse list. So yeah. But what about you? Do you have 3 books that automatically come to mind? That's a hard one. So you may have to think about that and do the tag later. Let me catch up with the comments here. Yeah, there's one, it's a really short, like, it's basically like a poetic couplet where someone says something about Abigail, the barmaid, and, she has a for sale sign, but she also has it on the back in Braille. And I was like, this is not classy, guys. This is not it. Greg says, Scottish folk bands I love. Silly Wizard, which I've heard of. Old Blind Dogs, which I might have some songs of, and I definitely thought about buying several of their CDs. They've been a wish list over the years. Battlefield Band, definitely have. Tannehill Weavers, I just bought a CD of theirs. They're good. And the Coreys. Yay! I don't know. Read the Storm. It may be snow, not rain. Okay. Laura says, was Garbage Scottish? Garbage, like with Kim. What's her name? I don't think so. I thought they were American. We're going back here so I don't miss comments. Vicar and the Frog? What? Is that a band? So funny. Or is that a song? Is that a Corey song that I don't know? Perhaps. Eva says it's the only scene I remember from the entire book. Oh, the hollow trunk. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know if we can trust classic children's books for survival strategies. We may have to put it to the test. But yeah, good thought. Good thought. This is the bookshop.org in case anyone wants to put some books on their Christmas list there. David Byrne. David Byrne. I know Gabriel Byrne. I don't remember David Byrne. Born in Scotland. Rod Stewart, born in Scotland. Really? He's a sir, I think, now. Jenny says, hey, Kindle means they were all coming. Yeah, Jenny has quite the extensive ebook collection, if you didn't know. So yeah, they're all coming as I'm greedy and won't give up any of them. Fair answer. Anita says, my tablet would be in my go bag, so way more than 3 books. All right, similar strategy. I like it. I respect that. Half of AC/DC was from Scotland. I didn't know that. Eva says, number 1, the Bible. Haha, JK. Brian says, I have evacuated my home twice because of hurricanes, and I did not take any books. Oof. Somehow they slipped my mind, though I did worry about my books getting ruined. Yeah. I know there's a bookstore near my hometown that had a plumbing issue, not their fault, and it ruined like the first, 5 inches of the store. That's a lot of books because they're not, she had books on the ground, which, kind of not great, but then also the books on the shelves. Terrible. Jenny says, depends on what you're going to use the Bible for. Yeah, I won't say it on here. Heavy enough for a weapon. Okay, that's not where my mind went, but okay. Sanderson titles may work better for that. Book bag weapon. Very true. You're agreeing. Yeah. They don't suspect the librarians. Okay. I don't remember where that goes to. Greg says new Scottish folk bands. Emar, Talisk, Manran I do have. Scarivore I don't have. Nos and Rura. I don't have any of those. You're much better on the music front, Greg, so I'll let you have that. I still have your tag about music by a reader. So I was like, oh, that's going to take way too long to do. So I didn't do that between yesterday and today. You've said I have the form of neurodivergent that makes this question hard for me. I'd take irreplaceable books if I had any. Yeah, no, it definitely takes some consideration. I've already thought about it in the apocalypse thing. So that's why I had a little shortcut for this one. Irreplaceable books and the Kindle. Yeah, that's good. Cat Paw says, that's like too many answers. Books I'd rescue, books to read while evacuated, books to be able to survive. Yeah, it's hard because you have to sort of choose, well, what kind of evacuation? So I did a sprinkling of different ones. Yeah, that's fair. Eva says, are there not books where I'm going? Don't answer. I just suck at questions like this. Yeah, you need to know. You want to know the parameters. That's fair. Yeah, well. Julie says, must leave you now. Back is hurting. Oh, feel better. Change position, get up and walk around. Off topic, I received a lovely postcard recently and it made my day. Excellent. Yes, if you don't know, I just introduced member benefits. I have a Patreon benefit where you get Bookish Mail, and I just introduced the same thing over on YouTube. So if you're more of a YouTube person instead of a Patreon person, you too can sign up for Bookish Mail. It's a $5 support level. So yeah, thank you. That's also open internationally if anyone is curious. Yeah, same amount because the stamps are close enough. Mike says, wonderful folk band choices, Greg. Yeah, okay. So you guys are both up on the music. Google says Rod Stewart was born in London. All right, fact checking. Garbage was Scottish. Seriously? Oh, I'm thinking Kim Gordon's Sonic Youth. Okay, Garbage is somebody else. Wow. Don't tell Allison I messed that up. Garbage is not Scottish, but their singer is. The guys are from USA. Okay. I believe Cat Paw. Shirley Manson from Garbage is Scottish. All right, we're hashing it out here in real time. Love it. Anita says old-time classic Scottish band, Bay City Rollers. Nice. They sound like they're on roller skates. Jenny says Vicar and the Frog is a wildly interesting chorus song. Can easily be considered one of their most offensive songs. It's on none of their albums that I've had, and I've had like 7 of their albums, so I'm very curious about this. Huh, all right. Libro says, when it comes to human-made disaster, it's hard to top the 1980s British film Threads about living through a nuclear war. It's even bleaker than The Road. Oh, well, then I will not be watching that because I don't even go near the road. And Brian just made a great video about lifelong reader prompts, a tag. And he talked about Cormac McCarthy and why he's not going back to the road. David Byrne led the Talking Heads. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Dang millennials. Yeah. So Greg, you guys are on the same wavelength. I love it. You found common ground. Okay. There we go. Garbage is from the US, but the singer's from Edinburgh. Laura says, I did not know the rest of Garbage were American. See, we're just finding out the facts here. Life during wartime. I think that's to Mike. Threads was amazing. Laura's, wow. Okay, so Laura recommends, even though it's like super heavy duty. Garbage is cool. Aaron says Cocteau Twins were a great band. They may have been mentioned. Not yet. Yeah, you're first. John McGeoch was a great Scottish guitarist. Nice. Of course, Margaret had this question's answered. I mean, you're around long enough. You answer the same questions. Cat Paw says Fave Scott's Peatbog Fairies. That's a fun name. Some Shoglenifty. That's I don't know how to say that. And of course, Marin Bennett. I don't know them. Interesting. Martin Bennett. Don't know Martin Bennett either. Sorry. Abandon all hope, right, Laura? Yeah. Sonic Youth. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. No roller skates for Bay City Rollers, but very 1970s. All right. Yeah. Laura in for the grimdark. I would not have thought it, but learning about you all the time. I think about Threads all the time, says Aaron. Wow. I love Bleak, says Laura. Okay. And Aaron says Garbage's drummer was Butch Vig, who produced loads of grunge albums. All right. Deep cut. Again, not something I would ever know. So I'm glad to have you guys backing me up here. All right, I'm going to try to just finish this tag because I'm surprised I only got to 1, but not really. You guys are great. Thank you for being here. Oh, see, I did it as a comment again. All right, that's all right. Prompt number 7. If you were writing a novel and had to use one of the following, hurricane, blizzard, tornado, or wildfire in the story, which do you choose and why? Which is a fun writer question. And I said, after thinking about it, tornado if I want to make someone disappear, because the chaos energy. Very good. Very handy. But wildfire if I want to show some consequences for greedy oligarchs, which you may find in one of my books in the not too distant future. You never know. You never know. That's definitely my brand. So yeah, that's 7th. I think we have one more prompt to finish up. So I'll leave this with you guys and then put this in a banner. Last prompt. Save. Boop. Prompt number 8. Is there a book on your current TBR? And we could keep on talking. It's not a huge deal. Is there a book on your current TBR that features some type of inclement weather or natural disaster? And here's where I get to talk about my current TBR, which is just intended reads. I mean, I'm not going to go through all 18 because you've mostly seen these before when I said what I was looking forward to. But I will talk about a couple of them. Comments. Cat Paw says, Martin Bennett's Bothy Culture is one of my all-time favorite albums. I'm going to star that. He's also an A+ human being. I think, or a 5-star human being. There we go. Okay, I'll look it up. Aaron says Blizzard, so I could start the novel. It was a dark and stormy night. Classic choice. Nice, I like it. Laura also says definitely Blizzard, snowed in scenes. Oh, okay. So that I think is not a grim or bleak. I think that's for a romance. I would like that. That would be fun. It's on their Flower of Scotland album. Okay, you're gonna have to send me a link on YouTube, or I'll look it up. Libro says Hurricane because it reminds me of the lovers in Dante's Inferno. All right, deep cut of a classic. Yeah, you're very much more into that than I have been. I think I had to read some part of the books, the several books that make up what is it? Is it the Inferno? There's different. What's the other book called? The Heaven one. I can't remember. Not a fan of the medieval writing. Anita says, no wildfires for me. Had too many of them this summer. Oh yeah. Canada's been hit. Greg says, I'm deep in the Scottish music side quest. Excellent. Like I said, I just came here to talk to Jenny. All right. Hopefully you got a postcard as well, because I sent them at the same time. It's in the name. I should have known. Yeah, Milton is Paradise Lost, and Dante has, I thought, 2 that were one heaven and one hell. So Paradiso and Inferno. That makes sense. Duh. Okay. Okay, I didn't answer this yet. My answer for prompt number 8 is, I don't know. Does Tracks have inclement weather or a natural disaster? So Tracks by Louise Erdrich is next up on my TBR. I'm not really impressed with this cover, to be completely honest, but it does look like there's a lot of snow and tracks in the snow. I never noticed that there were 3 tracks there before, but okay, now it's a little bit better. But I'm reading this because it is part of my Read What You Own challenge, and Grace was going to read it with me. So I'm going to buddy read this, and we're going to start today with Grace of Books and Cooks. So it's an Indigenous authored read. It's part of a larger universe of the same characters. I have read only Love Medicine by Louise Erdrich, part of the same universe. This was also just mentioned by Brian in his lifelong reader tag because it was the answer to one of the questions. So yeah, I didn't really get as much as I hoped from Love Medicine. So I'm hoping, this is what I told Dee Dee earlier, I'm hoping that I will be more comfortable in the world after reading Love Medicine and after reading several other Indigenous reads over the years, because Love Medicine was a while ago. So yeah, a novel. So we'll see. I'm very excited to read another book with Grace because we read the Amazon book for Agitation August together. That was a fabulous experience. So yay, current TBR. The other one I got from the library before I left, like as I said, Coming Up Short by Robert B. Reich. Excellent. Former civil servant, and now he has Inequality Media, which does basically public service, public announcement media for the resistance, which is good. I like his style. He's a good mouthpiece for the resistance. All right, and then it says tag some friends. So I didn't get to the coffee tag. For the hurricane tag, I chose 3 people who two people who have commented recently and one person who I love their Discord community. So Kim at the Lifelong Reader, who did the tag that Brian just did, I think. Read Becca and Jessica from Lady Love said read. So I'll drop them down below. I didn't know what was going to happen today, so I reserved the tagging powers. Okay, so I put this down and then go back to this. Ooh, non-spoiler. Thank you, Brian. Trax has a disaster that may or may not be totally natural. I'll take it. So that I think that will work for the prompt. Excellent. Libro says never read Erdrich. Big name, like lots of works out there. So yeah, I want to better understand. And I think Brian had a whole video about Louise Erdrich. But I've already started reading her works, so I'm already in it. I can't get advice on where to start since I've already started. But yeah. Okay, and since Dee Dee may be coming to look up the top books, I just want to show pretty quickly here. I did look up my 5-star books for 2025. So since I'm not going to be doing 10 before the end, I didn't work last year, and I already did my end of the year, but I didn't talk about this one. I just was going to quickly go through the 9 books that I rated 5 stars for the year so far. So I've got January 4th, as someone was saying, their favorite book of the year in Garrett's video, where he did a compilation of everyone's favorite book. They said it was the first book they read. This is a 5-star, and it's the first book I read, I think. Not on My Watch is a memoir, and it's an activist memoir, and you'll see another one of those on this list, by Alexandra Morton, who is a biologist who wanted to study whales in the west coast of Canada, but because they are so affected by salmon, ended up being a champion of salmon rights in the area. And that is a very hard fight that continues, especially against farmed salmon and all the dicey things that they, the messes that they create, I'll say. So I thought this was really good. She has a little bit that's memoir about it, but a lot of it is like the political battle for representation and like real concessions rather than just lip service with the Canadian government, which is pretty fascinating. All right, let me catch up here. Jenny says, send you the link. Don't hate me if you hate the song. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, you're not responsible. You're just the messenger. Hey, Jim. Hello, hello. You're coming in. I'm just going to finish up with one thing after doing basically a very chatty tag with folks about the weather. Greg says, back to Texas subjects. I have a cousin in Beltan, which I don't know, and a cousin in Waco, which I do know. Bookish Brian, I think this is your part of the state, perhaps. Bye, Anita. Check out the ending later. Thank you. Thank you. Greg says, I was born not too far from the home of Robert E. Howard. Is that a musician? Jenny says, my first read of the year is one of the top books of the year. Beautiful way to start the year. Yeah, I mean, one way to look at it is the only way to go is down. But the other way to look at it is, wow, good way to start the year, which yeah, exactly. Embrace it. Fave book of the year or decade. That's easy. The Weight of Ink. Wow, really? Okay. That's a bold statement. Nice. Oh, well, I have 9 that I can't really choose between. What I was saying on in Dee Dee's chat is that they're all so different that I realized that in different genres, I really give 5 stars differently. So here it's a memoir nonfiction, and this is a reread, The Beekeeper's Apprentice. I reread it so that I could read The Knave of Diamonds, which is the Laurie R. King series. And it's just so innovative and creative and funny and like whip smart. I just really loved revisiting it. This is from 1994, y'all. It's a lovely series. It gets a bit formulaic later, but I appreciate the comfort style. Like they're always well constructed. I think I've had a couple letdowns, but yeah, not like Anne Perry. All right, so another 5-star is another nonfiction about climate change, the Great Disruption, why the climate crisis will bring on the end of shopping and the birth of a new world. So this is written in 2011, and I read it this year. And I was like, I got this book because it sounded interesting by Paul Gilding. And then I thought, this is 15 years old. Like, the Great Disruption hasn't like unrolled totally. So I was interested to see how he would present that. He is nowhere on social media, so I'm not getting any sort of updates on like his thesis now that it still hasn't happened. But there were a lot of points that he made that were really interesting, and like you might be able to correlate them to current events. So that was a real fascinating read. I did already talk about this, Sustaining Spirit, Self-Care for Social Justice by Naomi Ortiz. Fabulous read about climate change, about disability rights, about community building. So book I would take into the apocalypse. 5 stars for The Traveling Cat Chronicles, which is the recent cozy translated book by Hiro Arikawa, and it's from the cat's point of view, and he's funny and like real grumpy, like it really comes across as like a hey, I'm walking here kind of character, but you see the relationship between him and his master, as he's called, I guess, his friend, his pal, and through several reminiscences, and like it's a real tear jerker. So just to warn you about that. And it's not a pet death, just to let you know if that's what you're worried about. Also 5 stars for another political book, 107 Days by Kamala Harris. Oh man, waited for this from the library. Love it. It's a very short, very sample size. She basically starts 107 days from the election when she announces when Biden dropped out, and takes us into like different aspects of the campaign and what she wanted to do and what she was up against, and like the moments of emotion within the campaign and how she had to be so disciplined. Is really a good look inside the campaign and inside the candidate. And I was really behind Kamala Harris. So I was disappointed is an understatement. Okay, and here's where I like, what? William Morris Decor and Design. I found this in a used bookstore. Not my normal read. Nonfiction that is about the history of the decorative arts and how he revolutionized design and arts and craft. And it was a backlash movement, but it was also like really generative. And there's all these beautiful pictures in this book about his work. And I look for William Morris designs in real life, like on stationery or, like furnishings or things that I can afford. And I just really like the style. It's always, even if it's really busy, like a pattern, or really expansive and calming, there's always things to appreciate about it. And I love that. It's not millennial gray, it's not all the same. They really put their personhood in their designs, which I like. Then we've got Walking with the Wind, which I did just talk about, and which we will hear more about on Monday, December 8th. I'll be talking with Tiffany from TL Russ's channel. We did a buddy read, and she will get as much as she can done. I'm hoping she has enough time to read it. It's about 500 pages and really fantastic. I just finished it 2 days ago, and it starts as well as it finishes. I was going to say that backwards. That's fine. Really well done. I'm glad he had a co-writer to make it smooth, because he says a lot of really important things about the movement, about his character and his desires and what he fought for. And at this point, he'd only been in Congress like 10 years. And the run for Congress the first time is the very last part of the book. and there's like enough of a conclusion so it doesn't feel chopped off at the end. It's just really well written, really good history. Didn't learn about a lot of this backstory, and intimate glimpses into other civil rights figures, which some I'd heard of, some I had not. So really, really good. And final 5-star, which you've heard about, I read for Agitation August. It's Parable of the Sower, my first Octavia Butler. Amazing, tense, dystopian sci-fi fantasy set in California, so cut very close to the bone for me, about a person who has a vision and prepares for their own pilgrimage and survival. And you see people that end up trusting each other or that are dangers in this dystopian landscape. Like really, really well written, great adventure. So all over the place. We had a sci-fi fantasy, a memoir about activism, decor and design, political memoir, activism, cozy fiction. It's not really a mystery, it's like fiction. Memoir slash community, disability rights. And then we've got climate change nonfiction, sort of more nonfiction traditional, mystery, and memoir activism. So you'll see a theme here, which is fair because it's still there in my fall curriculum. So I'm consistent. But yeah, so those are the 9 5-stars of the year. We'll see if there's another 5-star in the last month. Should be interesting. Let me catch up with the chat before we finish here. Okay, so I had Cat Paw and then Jim's comment. My first 5-star read of the year was the only book I read to appear on Goodreads Choices list of 2025. Well, I think most of us disregard that. Of Monsters and Mainframes by Barbara Truelove, which I heard good things about. Yay! 5-star read. Excellent. I'm glad you liked it too. Libro says, I'm waiting for a country that will make La Macarena its national anthem. Okay. Brian says, Ghost Reader. It is. We just moved here from the Galveston area. Nice. So Waco and Belton, whatever that is. 23 of the 70 books I've read, I gave 5 stars. All right. Well, so I only gave 5 stars to 9 out of how many have I read? 152. I gave a lot of 4.5, 4.75s. So it's all feels, it's all vibe check. So I'm not very exacting about that. Robert E. Howard is best known for Conan stories, so he's an author, which are excellent. Okay. Aaron says, a good Holmes pastiche. I need that. It's so funny. It's so good. There's so much action and like smart things. Yeah, Laurie R. King. Definitely highly recommend. Ghost Reader. Peaster? I just looked him up. Maybe they're talking about music. Jim says, The Tainted Cup was a fantasy book with a Holmes Watson vibe. Also won the Hugo Award for 2025. Ooh, yeah. Rachel really liked this one from R.K. Stumbling Bear. I think. If it's the one with the cover I'm thinking of. It sounds like it would be on the list. I don't know where it's the list. Greg says, in about 1995, I was staying with my cousin in Waco. We went out to the Branch Davidian compound. Oh my gosh, it's in the top 3 spookiest places I've ever been. Wow, I wonder what's left. Crazy, crazy. I also visited the Dr. Pepper Museum. Excellent. Brian says, I've only really been through Waco. My daughter says they have a good zoo. Oh, all right. Different direction. Robert E. Howard was from Cross Plains. I was born in Abilene, about 40 miles away. All right. Gotcha. I've never been to Abilene. Born in Tyler. Grew up in Lufkin. Went to college in Nacogdoches. How do you say that? I don't know. Texan Scots names, which are harder to pronounce. I'll leave it to the audience. Well, that's cool. All right. So I tagged the friends. I got through 1 tag and then the 5-star books of 2025. So not bad. Ooh, Jenny says Dr. Pepper has a museum. Add to bucket list. Nice. Okay, Laura, how do you pronounce it? Help us out here. Nacogdoches? Nacogdoche? Nakodosh? There's lots of possibilities. How Texan do you want to make it, right? That was almost perfect. The G is silent. Nacogdoches. We'll go with that. So it kind of sounds like nachos to me. Ignore the G. Okay. Is there an R&B museum? Okay, we could do a cultural exchange here. I'm sure there is. If there's not a museum, it's a factory tour, right? Right? Let's see. What did I want to remind people? Okay, we just had this as a reminder. If you had an emoji for your mood, let us know. Check in with us. Drop a comment if you're team rewatch. And thank you, thank you. That's it for us today. We went quite long, but it's extra special Friday. I'm trying to entertain so that people don't feel that they have to shop today. Or if you do, check out the books for the apocalypse list. Sweet. All right. All right. Well, then I guess the Scots hold the title for most difficult because that was like a second guess. It's not bad. What are we doing here? Oh, we're losing all of the plot here with the banners. So, okay. Thank you, everybody. It was lovely to have you here. Happy Friday. Happy holiday mood. Let it commence. I hope you all have a great book next on your reading list. And maybe there's still a 5-star or a favorite between now and Christmas and New Year's. Yeah, take care of yourselves, everybody. And I'll talk to you again soon. No Iron Brew Museum. Boo. All right. Take care, everyone. Talk to you again later. Bye.